Why, hello there everyone. I'm Laxow, aka the Kumo Sensei. Minasan, ohayo gozaimasu. Yonjong ne shadow. And today we're going to be feeding some tarantulas. And originally I was going to feed some juveniles, just juveniles, but plans change, so I'm going to be feeding a mix of my collection. So let's get straight into it. So this first tarantula is my Aphonopelma, species Diamondback, and I don't think I've shown this specimen here on this channel yet, nor the species until this video. And I don't really show slings in my videos because slings don't really look too appealing. I mean, they look cute, but they're very small, and a lot of my viewers like to see the bigger tarantulas. This is why I usually don't show slings in my videos unless I'm rehousing them after, breeding projects and whatnot. But for the most part, I try not to show them too much, but in this case, why not? This little one here is starting to grow into its juvenile sizes. It's about 1.5 inches in leg span, so you could say it's a small juvenile to be fair. But let us continue with the next one. So this specimen here is one of my Neoholothele incei, and this was hatched out from a sac, I think from last year I believe. And this is a female. Now she is a juvenile, she is about 1.5 inches, and this species is relatively small. They max out around 2 to 2.5 inches, maybe 3 inches at largest. So this female here is halfway grown, and she should be ready to breed next year. And with the slings I produced this year, it should be another breeding project for the future. But let us continue with the next one here, and this right here is my Chaetopelma, species Egypt. Now I did have 4 specimens, but one of them had a bad molt and passed away as a sling, so now I only have 3 of these. So these are not the Chaetopelma olivaceum that I produced from a year or 2 ago, so don't get those confused. I bought these as slings from a vendor that I like to work with, and this was the label that they came with, so I'm keeping this label on them. And I find it kind of funny how I'm having trouble recording these feeding videos from the juveniles, but when it comes to the adult specimens, it's so simple. Like, I guess it's the power of youth, right? The youth energy in these young spiders. So now let us move on. So this specimen here is my Lasiocyano, sazimai, also known as the Brazilian blue. And this was actually formerly known as the Aphonopelma sazimai, but there was a revision, and now it's in a new genus, Lasiocyano. So that's just a clarification for those people who are confused about the scientific name. And there's a lot of people that are not up to date when it comes to scientific names, so make sure you stay up to date, because it shows that you are up to date and a very tidy tarantula keeper if you keep up with scientific revisions. And trust me, if you're a tarantula breeder especially, keeping up with the latest, news and information when it comes to scientific papers on tarantulas is key. So my advice, if you're becoming a tarantula breeder, is to always stay on top of things, especially revisions. This hobby is always evolving, so staying up to date is a must. Now when it comes to a lot of newer keepers, they may struggle to keep up with, the latest scientific revisions and whatnot, but for us experienced tarantula keepers and breeders, we're usually up to date when it comes to scientific labels. But let us not get sidetracked and let us jump right back into this video. So this specimen here is my Nhandu chromatus, and I do have some specimens of these, but mine are not really fast growing. A lot of people say this species grow fast, but in my experience, not so much. Mine are pretty slow growing if I'm being honest, but that's just my experience, and to each their own. Some people's specimens may grow faster, but as of mine, they're not the fastest growing. So this specimen that you're seeing here is 4 years old, and she's about 3 inches, maybe 2.5 to 3 inches, somewhere between that leg span size. So when it comes to the species, I actually enjoy them more as a pet than an actual tarantula breeder. And I think that's because mine are slow growing, which I've kind of grown a little bit attached to, honestly. So I prefer trying not to rush their growth rates at this point and just enjoy the process of watching them grow. But hey, that's just me getting a little bit emotionally attached, so just don't mind it. But anyhow though, let us continue, and this specimen here is my Nhandu coloratovillosus. So this specimen here is one of my 2 females that I own. And I did have 3, but one of them matured out as a mature male, so I gave him away to a tarantula breeder to put him to use. And my females are relatively slow growing. Some people say this species of Nhandu grows fast, but in my experience, these are not the fastest growing. This female here is about 3 inches and could use a rehouse. Now she was hatched out in 2018 or 2019, somewhere between there. But I'm not really in a hurry to breed this species because their sac numbers are relatively large and they're pretty much relatively available in the hobby, so I'm not really too desperate or trying to grow out this species fast for that matter. So I'm just kind of just letting this species slowly grow itself out. And I do have plans on breeding this species, but that's pretty much a long time from now. Based on how mines are growing, I'd say a few years before I can actually breed this female. And I find it kind of laughable at times because there are some species people say grows fast, but in my experience it's the polar opposite. And I would really like to know, what species do you have in your collection that is the complete polar opposite of what people say about them? There's quite a number in my collection, I'll tell you that is more interesting than I would expect them to be based on what I've read and the reports on them, so that's kind of my curiosity, I guess. So let us move on to the next tarantula in this video. So this right here is one of my Monocentropus balfouri females, and I do have a few females, but like I stated last time, I don't really know if I want to breed all of my females because that sounds like a lot to deal with, so probably not going to breed this female here. It seems like every single tarantula breeder that I've met has M. balfouri and has a colony of them. So, yeah, this species is relatively easy to breed is where I'm going with this. So because of that, I don't really want to breed this species more than I need to, because I already did pair 2 females on this channel, by the way. I'll leave a video on top right if you want to go check it out. So in general, I'm just going to enjoy this female as is for now, but who knows, maybe in the future, right? And I also do have some mature males that are pretty much starting to molt out to maturity, so who knows, maybe that'll be sooner than I would expect. So this is actually the last specimen I want to show in this video. This is my Aphonopelma seemanni, and this is pretty much one of the most commonly sold tarantulas in the hobby, and the reason why is because there's a lot of wild caught that comes in. And a lot of people are breeding the species because it's pretty much the beginner tarantula now that everybody is selling. So a lot of people are breeding the species, both experienced and newcomers into breeding tarantulas. As for me, I just keep mine as a pet. So I did have this girl for a while now, and I do love her a lot. I just wish I could have seen her out more because she's very reclusive and she's pretty much a pet hole. But when she's out, I love her a lot. So this is where I'll conclude the video for today. So without further ado, as the typical, feel free to like, comment, and subscribe to stick around. I upload every single Tuesday and Friday. And also, support me on my IG and on Patreon. And with that, stay lax and Laxow out from the Kumo Sensei.